Hello and welcome back to Sew April. So today I have a tutorial that I was trying to find when I was making the bodice for my daughter's wedding dress. It called for a V in the front and a V in the back, so I'm just going to call it a double V neck or neckband. The pattern did not have that. The pattern called for a lining, and she didn't want a lining because it's going to be July in Texas and that's way too hot. And so I told her I would figure out something to do. And I know I'm not really good at facings on the neck, so I thought I will figure this out. First, I had tried just having two pieces that were cut straight in the middle, and then I sewed those up, and then I tried to connect them, and it wasn't working out very well. Half of it worked, half of it didn't. So then I decided to make my own neckband. What I did was I used my tape measure and I calculated the circumference of the neckband, which I'm sure a lot of people know how to do that. I'll try to post a video showing how to do that if you do not know how to do that, and I might even make a tutorial on that if someone really needs me to. Anyways, so I calculated how much that is, and I believe you multiply by 75%. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I ended up figuring it out. It took me a few times to try to figure it out. So basically, on a V-neck, you have a V shape for one piece of your pattern. Well, on the double V, you need two. So, like, this is what the piece looks like. You need two of these to make the V-neck neckband. And you can go ahead and like mark this part for the center, and that'll be where you stitch it. On my daughter's pattern, it actually ended up being on the side seam of the shirt. I don't know if it changed now because I had to change the sleeve cap on her shirt now, so we'll find out when I start that in a little bit. So if you do not know anything about V-necks, what I recommend is doing a, what's that called, like a, where it creases it. So basically you fold it in half. This is that V piece. You fold it in half, memory crease, that's what it is. And then you iron the half all the way to both points. So I'm going to iron these pieces, both pieces. I have two. I'm going to iron them in half, and then the next thing you do is you open it up and you make sure that they're, let's see, you get the right sides together. Gotta make sure I'm doing this right and make sure I'm telling you correctly. Put the right sides together, so the material that's going to be facing your body, not necessarily at the moment, but the wrong side of the material is here and on the outside. So I'm going to sew this up in a V shape, and then I will clip it right there in the center. So I'm going to sew it in a V and then clip it in the center. And I will try to show that with my machine if I can go ahead and get this camera set up correctly. So hopefully I will, and I will show that now. Okay, so for this, I want my stitch length tight, so I have it set on 2. Sorry, I've got to get the right side. Let's see if this light is too bad. Okay, I want to make sure y'all can see good enough. Have to make sure that the right side of the material is facing the right side, and I got that. And I am going to actually put a pin right in the center so that way it does not move on me. And this is the way I do it, and I know other people do it differently. Hopefully I'm not moving the camera. I am going to start in the center right next to that needle. And this material is really fiddly. It makes me wish it was ITY. So I'm going to go down and then up. So I just basically did a back stitch, and then I'm going to go all the way to the end. I realize I'm sewing it with hardly any seam allowance. That's partly for two reasons. This is a test garment, and I think I needed to add a little extra on the piece. If I didn't, then this will actually be a little loose on her neckband, but I didn't give myself that leeway, so I want to make sure that this is going to be correct. This is actually bodice number 5, I think, and this should be the last tester for her, and then we will make the gown. I'm using scraps at this point because we're running out of fabric. But it's basically the same principle, just start from the middle, go out, and then back stitch in the middle, and then back stitch on the end. I hope you can see that. I have my camera opposite, and then I just clip in here right into that V. And I have the black thread so you can see what I'm doing. So basically I just clipped very close to that V. And then when I go to put it on the shirt, fold it, and I have to put the seam allowances out, which is very hard when you have very little seam allowance here. And then that piece is done. So I'm actually going to pin that in place since I have it. And it should be lined up on the front and back. So there's that piece. And I haven't sewed the bodice on this, but I can go ahead and, no I can't. I will be back in a minute after I sew the pieces together to be able to do the V on the bodice. So I guess I didn't need to sew the sides because the V is right there in the center. But anyways, I'll just show y'all. Look at my pretty princess seams. I've been working really hard at getting very good at them, I think. So there's the pretty princess seams. And there's, since the V-neck is on both sides and you can't tell the front from the back, I put some tape in the back so when she tries it on she knows that this is the back. So that's my little tip on that. So this is what I do on the V-neck bodice. I have to do the same V stitching, and I'm trying to keep it in the seam allowance. So I'm just barely going, probably about a quarter or an eighth of an inch, because I really do not want this to show Although some people use it and they, I don't know. I've been using it with a loose stitch and then pulling it out. I'm going to try it this way, and I think it's going to probably work better. Let's experiment. Okay, so, and I still have it on a 2 because this should be inside the seam allowance, and I'm going to the point. I probably should have done this like the other one and started from away from the point, but I don't know, we'll find out. Then I will clip this off, and I just realized I am going to need to have the side seam sewn together to be able to attach the neckband. So let me go ahead and get this one sewed the same, and then I will go ahead and sew the side seams and be back. So let me go ahead and do this. Alright, so I have this sewed, and I don't remember if I clipped this now or when I add it. Let's go ahead and clip this now to the V. Remember, you do not want to go all the way through, just so you can sew your neckband on. It'll be going on this way, and then you'll be sewing it on like this. So let me go ahead and stitch my side seams up, and then I'll show you what I do next. Okay, so I have it sewed up, and I probably should have had that done before I started this whole tutorial. I apologize. I'm still learning how to do things. Okay. Oh, I need to sew this V. Okay. So you want to make sure you do not get these twisted. So basically fold these pieces out together, and then get your V, and then get a pin and line it right there in the center. I hope you can see that because I cannot see my camera. Okay, and I'm going to do this the same way. I'm going to start from the center out, and then center out, and then I should be ready to put this on the shirt. Okay, and if you're wondering, when I told you I had made an adjustment to the sleeve cap, yay, it fits. So that's awesome. I'm so happy. I had to make the top of the bodice smaller. She has a larger chest and small and dainty at the top, so I had to make it shorter right through here. I had to take this in, and I took it in on the front and the back. So when I did that last time, the sleeves looked really weird, and it's because there was too much fabric. So I had to get the pattern, and I had to look it up in my book. I will show it in a minute, and then I will show what I did to the pattern. Let me go ahead and get to this because I am getting ahead of myself. Okay, so I'm just sewing this like I did before. Forgot to back stitch right there. And I forgot my scissors. And if you see my pin cushion, it is Winnie the Pooh. This was actually my son's toy when he was little, and it's just always been a pin cushion. So whenever he's missing a nose, poor thing, just thought that was a little funny. Okay. So I'm sure nobody probably cares about that. Oops, mosquito. They're eating us alive here in Texas. They're eating us alive. Okay, and I think it's going to be easier if I go on the other side for this part. I took my pin out so that way I could move the material around. This material, when I ironed it, it just curled up like crazy. So, okay. Hopefully that's close enough. And I'm going to go down and then back stitch at the end. Okay. And then I believe when I did this, I think I clipped in here too. Yes, I did that on the other one. Let me go ahead and clip into that so that way I can get this to open up. It's, like I said, this material is so fiddly. And then there's some material hanging out. Thread. This is just a tester, so really don't mind some things with this because the sleeves are not even and the hem is not even. And I told my daughter that that's something that is easier to fix when it is on the final garment. I'm just trying to line those up evenly, and I'm going to check this one to make sure that it is lined up in the center of the stitch on both sides. Just because I want to make sure nothing shifts while I'm sewing it. Okay, so since I had the memory crease, you can see it still has a little bit of a fold. I'm going to get the neckband, put the center V's together. Oh, this is not very easy to do with this material. Okay, so I got those together, and then I'm going to put a pin right there in the center, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the opposite side, and then we will check her shirt to see if it is still the side seam like it has been for me. If not, that's okay. And by the way, I don't know if anyone has any of these pins. I thought they were spools of thread. My granddaughter's 7, and she said, "No, Gigi, those are puppy dogs." And I said, "Oh, I thought they were thread." She said, "Gigi, thread doesn't have holes in the center. Those are the puppy's eyes." I was like, oh my gosh, she is so right. That's so funny. Okay, so I'm going to get the center of the V's on the shirt and then go off to the side, and yep, it is still the side seams for this pattern. So I will get a V hit it here. And I don't want that to move, so okay, I do not want anything to shift. So I'm going to try putting some double-sided tape on here and see if that helps. But first, I think I'm going to go ahead and stitch this together, and I will use a basting stitch just so it does not shift on me, because I want this to be as close to perfect as it can be, because when I do the final outfit, I want it perfect. Let me go ahead and do the other side as well. And I know I'm using the wrong kind of thread, but it's fine. I don't want to set over that needle. Just trying to base that down so it doesn't shift on me whenever I attach it. So if you see, that's what I did. I stitched it down so it doesn't move. And then I'm going to put some double-sided tape right there on those basting seams on one side. And this will be in the seam allowance, and if it gets sewed over, that will not affect anything. So I'm just taking the extra part of the tape off, and let's try that with one side before I put tape on the other side. Okay, so there's the 1V, and wait a minute. It needs to go this way. So it needs to go, wait a minute, I'm getting myself lost. I think I put the tape on the wrong side. Maybe on this one. Yeah, see, hopefully you can see this. So I'm just bitting that. That's not right. Just can't sew it like that. Okay, I think the tape was a bad idea. Let's try it with this part. And then now let's see if I can move that over. And then let's see if it held without. Okay, that's doable. Now let's sew it and see what we got. See if the double-sided tape did anything. I'm taking the needle out now since the tape is holding it for me, and I'm still using a straight stitch. I will knock my put my stitch length back to 2. Okay. Alright. It looks like it's in the center of the V, and then over here. And I back stitched on both of them. Okay. Cut these extras off. And let's see what we have. It could be over a little bit more. I'm still working on that, but it's pretty good. Let's try the other one. And I do like the tape. I think it helped a lot. Let's see. Gotta wrap my head around how to get this. That's not even the pattern I used. How to get this on here. Okay, so, well, this is the easiest way for me. It's going to go that way, and then here. So, maybe if I don't use the tape, and then I just line up my V, maybe that's what I need to do, is just make sure my V is lined up on that center. Maybe I'll try it like that for this one. That way I have an option of which actually seemed like it worked better. I can tell already I think I like the tape because I feel like it really actually held it in place, and this doesn't. But whatever gets me the better point on the V is what I'm looking for. Okay, so back stitch. Oh, I forgot to take the needle out. Okay. And I think it needed to go one more stitch. Alright. And now, oh, this feels like it's a mess of a tutorial. I hope it works out good. Alright. Okay. And there we go. That one actually did turn out better. So that's what I'll do on my final one. And this, I ain't worried about that. So one of the main things I want to let you know about is to press your seams. After you sew each one, iron it, press it, press it. And with this material, it's so slinky, I had to use the synthetic setting on my iron. So I'm going to go ahead and finish sewing that with my serger, and I will show you the results. Okay, so I hope you enjoyed my video, my tutorial. This is what it looks like. Let's see if I can get a close-up on the V's. There's one that I think that's the one that turned out kind of awkward. Yeah, and then of course the perfect one is in the back. And I cannot hold anything up straight. So when I am doing her final top, if it's not perfect on both sides, I will unstitch it and make it perfect, just because I want it to look really nice for her. So she will have longer sleeves, and it will be a kind of a off-white cream kind of color, but I mastered princess seam, so yay. So remember, the neckband is actually 2 pieces. I had to figure that out on my own. And I mentioned that I made adjustments on the bodice, so like right here on the front and on the back. I had to make it smaller there because she's real petite. So, and by doing that, I said I had to change the sleeve cap. the tip I got on that was from this book, Fantastic Fit for Everybody by Gail Greg Hazen. This is a really good book, and I will put a link in the description box. Yes, mine has coffee or something, you know, but it had a really good tip on if you make adjustments in the princess seam. It said you could cut it down the center and slash it over, but that's if you had a lot of room in the sleeve. We didn't. I had just made the sleeve fit perfect, so I knew that wouldn't work. So what we had to do, or what I had to do, was the sleeve cap, I had to cut here, and then I went down 1/2 inch, and then I just overlapped the pattern and taped it, and then I trued the seam right through there. So that's what I did. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. I hope that it helps somebody else down the line. Just a quick little demo on the end. You need, when you measure your neckband and you do the 75%, you basically cut that into 2. It probably would be wise to add the seam allowance. I think that's where I messed up on the first time I did this. So make sure you add the seam allowance to at least like half of it for both. So like an 1/8 of an inch or 1/4 of an inch or whatever to both pieces. And then I showed how to sew this up as a V-neck for front and back. So like I said, I hope this helps somebody. If you like this tutorial, please give me a thumbs up. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe and ring the notification bell if you want to be notified anytime I make something new. And I just want to thank all my subscribers that I have. I have the most wonderful subscribers, and I want to thank you every time you leave a comment. It just really makes my day. So I just want to say thank you, and I know 4th of July was just yesterday. Happy 4th of July. So thank you very much, and have a very blessed day. Bye.